The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Broncos 13-6. Ooh, that was an ugly win, wasn't it? Let's get into it. Man, the offense, first of all, if you look at the box score and you look at the stat sheet alone, you would say the Steelers' offense was garbage today. Now, the reality is, if you watch the tape, this was one of the best days the Steelers' offense has had in years. I mean, you can look at the Mason Rudolph games last year. Those are right there with this game, I think. If you actually watch the film. Because the stat sheet looks terrible. Let's get into it, man. The route concepts, they were used efficiently. They schemed guys open. Proud of Arthur Smith for that. It's something you could never say with Matt Canada. We had creative run plays with Justin Fields, which we'll dive into later. I mean, I think about the one where it was a fake handoff. It was a fake toss. Justin turns around. Whoop. Oh, yeah. It didn't go for any yardage, but I'd like to see the creativity. The offense did go conservative in the second half, which did make the game look uglier than it really was. But overall, Arthur Smith, so far so good. I like him so far. He was dictating the pace of the game. Now, the defense, a big part of the reason the Steelers controlled the pace of the game today is the defense did exactly what we said we were going to do. You know, all week we were talking about, Bo Nix is going to choke against Steelers defense. Oh my God. But it's like, are they actually going to do it? Yeah, dude, they actually did it. They freaking locked down the Denver Broncos today. They made Broncos quarterback Bo Nix throw picks. Literally. I mean, I started calling this dude throw picks instead of Bo Nix. That's what he is. He throws picks. It's throw picks. They made Bo Nix urinate down his leftmost leg today. It was fun to watch. I don't have too much else to say about the defense other than they've been lights out. TJ Watt was playing out of his mind. He freaking... Dude, did you see TJ Watt's aura sacked Bo Nix today? TJ Watt sacked Bo Nix by staring him down today. Awesome. Heck yeah. Alex Highsmith was balling today. Dude, Corey Trice got his first career pick, which you love to see. If you know anything about the kind of adversity Corey Trice has been through, his injuries, his dad, dude, you love to see him get that pick today. Beautiful. I'm going to do a life story video on him. Count me on that. Deshaun Elliott has been a rock star so far. Peyton Wilson, our rookie without an ACL, is balling out. I cannot say enough about the Steelers defense. Now, before we transition to the offense, let's talk about Bo Nix. I don't feel good about him, Broncos fans. If I'm a Broncos fan and I see the way Broncos quarterback Bo Nix is playing, I would start feeling concerned. Look, the way I've started looking at it ever since dealing with this Kenny Pickett thing, I'm going to give you until Thanksgiving of year 2 if you're a rookie quarterback. I'm going to give you until Thanksgiving of year 2. But I know pretty quickly what you are in the first couple games. And I think we're starting to figure out what Bo Nix is. He not going to win you a Super Bowl. Buckle up, Broncos fans. Dude, we're 2 games into the Bo Nix era, and he has yet to make those plays. You know what I mean? You know, he'll make plays, but is he going to make those plays? You know, those plays. No, he's not making those plays. 2 games and he hasn't made those plays. I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm a Broncos fan, buckle up. It's going to be a long couple years with Bo Nix, I think. Like I said, hope I'm wrong. I like him. Seems like a good kid. He's not the guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl. He's going to do what Sean Payton wants to do, you know. But he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. He's not going to make those plays that you need a quarterback to make. Now, let's talk about someone who did make those plays today. Justin Fields. Justin Fields absolutely, look, can we say it? He stole the job from Russell Wilson. Justin Fields stole the job from Russell Wilson. He's going to be the starting quarterback coming out of the tunnel in Pittsburgh next week versus LA. Now, Justin Fields currently has the Steelers on top of the AFC North with a record of 2-0. Now, by no means, he has not looked spectacular. Right? He hasn't looked spectacular. He's not Mahomes out there. He's not Lamar out there. But he looks like a better quarterback than he was in Chicago. Remember, in Chicago, he's a guy who he'll show you some really good flashes here and there, some beautiful throws down the field, some incredible runs. Then he'll absolutely either throw the game away in the fourth quarter with a boneheaded decision, or he'll absolutely take over and win you the game. No in between. He looks better. Reality is he did make that boneheaded decision today. The pick was dropped, fortunately. We'll get into that in a minute. But for the most part, he was making smart decisions with the football in his hand. And today in the first half, dude, Justin Fields was absolutely dealing. Like, starting him over Mahomes on my fantasy team today, that was a risk worth taking. I still lost. Yay. But, dude, you wouldn't even know Justin Fields was dealing today if you just looked at the box score. Because early in the game, Justin had a nice, long touchdown drive where he was absolutely picking apart the Broncos defense. Now, it wasn't perfect, right? There was a play where he was blitzed, and instead of replacing the blitz with a throw, what did he do? He starts running. Now, if you're a quarterback, the one thing you don't want to do when an extra defender is coming towards you, you don't want to run. Because the reality is, when there's an extra defender coming towards you, there's a weakness in the defense, and there's more defenders coming towards you. Running is not the smartest thing to do. Now, Justin made it work. He almost got sacked. Justin almost got sacked, but he escaped it. He escaped it and ran for one of the best runs of the day. Justin had, 80-something rushing yards today? I don't even know. Doesn't even matter to me. We won. You don't want to run when you get blitzed. I hope that's not something that bites Justin Fields in the butt. Matter of fact, it bit Justin Fields in the butt multiple times today, so I'm not even going to talk about that. But that's not how you beat a blitz in the NFL. Luckily, Justin was fast enough to outrun it and took it for a big gain. Then, he had a beautiful touch pass to Freiermuth. He was like, oh, Freiermuth is wide open on the outbreaking route. Let me just... Pat Freiermuth had that toe drag swag, got the Steelers into the red zone. It was beautiful, and he capped off the drive with the beautiful back shoulder ball to Darnell Washington. It was a 2x2 set. Justin Fields moves to the left, throws a freaking dart. Darnell Washington's not open, but Justin said, I can throw you open. I'm going to throw the ball to the sideline where you can turn and be the only one who can get that ball. It's exactly what happened. Matt Washington got his first career touchdown, saluted his brother. Awesome. Then the following drive, Justin Fields was pinned within his own one with the Broncos punt. What'd he do? Led the Steelers out of within his own one. Najee and Jalen were balling that drive. Nice little 1-2 punch. I love to see both of them dealing. And then the Steelers were in a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and manageable situation. Broderick Jones false start. Unacceptable. Won't happen again. Okay. Then there was a Justin Fields beautiful throw on 3rd and 18 to George on the comeback route. Awesome. 3rd and 18, Kenny Pickett's not doing that. He's not throwing the ball to George on a comeback route with great timing and anticipation. He's not doing that. Justin Fields did that. That's one of those plays that Bo Nix didn't make. Justin was making those plays today. And then there was a nice little 6-yard run by Najee. And then Broderick Jones holding. Unacceptable. Now it's 2nd and long. Okay. What does Fields do? Okay, he says, well, okay, you know what? I'm just going to bail the pocket. George Pickett's running a 9 route. I'm just going to throw across my body one of the most beautiful freaking balls I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful balls I've seen all season to George across his body. And what happened? You know what happened. I don't need to tell you what happened. It got called back because of a Broderick Jones holding call. Now, let's be very clear. Pat Surtain did the one thing that was banned this offseason. It was a hip drop tackle. The holding and the hip drop tackle should have been offsetting penalties, but it wasn't. Whatever, Play was called back. Broderick Jones holding absolutely killed the drive. Broderick Jones killed what should have been a scoring drive. Then he was benched. It was the right decision by Tomlin. Now, by the way, Mike Tomlin, grab your shield because I'm about to show you my sword. You are wildly mishandling the development of Broderick Jones right now. What are you doing? You've botched the development of every first-round pick you've had since you drafted TJ Watt. You're rotating him in at right tackle with your rookie right tackle, Troy Fautanu, who's balling on the touchdown drive, by the way. Dude, put Broderick Jones at left tackle and start the development process. What are you doing? All you're doing is killing his confidence today. I don't get what you're doing the rotating right tackles thing. What are you doing? What the F are you doing? Like I said, you've botched the development of every first Devin Bush, Kenny Pickett, Terrell Edmonds, and now Broderick Jones. I could go on and on and on. What are we doing? Stop it. Put Jones at left tackle. Let's start developing. Start letting this line gel. What's going to happen is if you keep doing this rotating right tackle, you're going to kill Broderick Jones' confidence. What kind of pictures does Dan Moore have on his phone of Mike Tomlin that Dan Moore can't get benched? No, like, let's acknowledge Dan Moore's playing well this year, better than any of us have expected. We got a second year tackle in Broderick Jones that belongs at the left tackle position that might have just had his confidence killed for the year. We'll see. I don't know, man. By the way, I'm gonna come back to criticizing Tomlin later. We'll get to that. Anyways, Broderick killed that drive, but Justin kept dealing the very next drive. He had another beautiful dime down the right sideline of Van Jefferson that it's one that's not going to show up on the stat sheet because it was ruled pass interference on Pat Surtain. Now, Justin did mention in the postgame presser that the Broncos were one of the most penalized teams in terms of DPI in 2023, so they wanted to intentionally attack that. They ran a lot of man coverage. Justin saw Pat Surtain had his back turned to the quarterback, so what does that mean? Man coverage. DB doesn't know when the ball's coming. Usually it's an advantage for the receiver. Well, Pat Surtain held Van Jefferson's hand down. Nice little DPI call. Got the Steelers in the red zone. Then Justin threw another touchdown to George Pickens where he kept himself in bounds and acrobated the ball over the pylon. What happened? Van Jefferson penalty. Now, this one wasn't on Van Jefferson. What happened is the penalty, it was ruled offensive pass interference because in the NFL, you're not allowed to run downfield it's called a pick play. You're not allowed to pick the defenders and block them from guarding the intended receiver. Now, you can do it, but you got to be kind of slick about it. Well, the reality is Van Jefferson ran, it was a 9 route. It was supposed to be a fade route within the 10-yard line. Now, the defenders initiated contact. Van Jefferson wasn't going to let the defenders get around him. He was going to run his route. Defenders initiated contact and Van Jefferson got called for the penalty. If the defenders initiate contact, it shouldn't be an OPI penalty, but that's what it was. It wiped a touchdown off the board. It wiped more yardage off the board. It wiped Justin Fields' good-looking game off the board in terms of the stat sheet. But, okay, whatever. Anyways, the drive ended in a field goal. The half ended on a field goal. The score is 13-0 Steelers. Now, the reality is the game, the penalties made this game look uglier than it was. The Steelers should have over 25 points today. In spirit, Justin Fields should have 3 touchdowns, maybe even 4 touchdowns today. But penalties ruin that. Now let's talk about that. The Steelers right now are the second most penalized team in football this year behind Cleveland. The Steelers have 19 penalties behind Cleveland's 24. They're the second most penalized team in football. There's no nice way to say it. This is on Tomlin, okay? Now, before I rip him, let me be very clear. Mike Tomlin had coached a good game today, I think. Pulling Broderick was a smart move. Defense is his calling card, and the defense was absolutely shut down today. He had a great game. The penalties were killer, and I hold Mike Tomlin accountable for that. I don't have patience for... Dude, we're going on 8 years without a playoff win. My patience is dwindling for Mike Tomlin, if not already gone. I don't have patience for the shenanigans, okay? In sports, not just football, but sports, it is the job of a coach to make sure their players are playing cleanly and operating with good technique to avoid penalties, costly penalties like false starts, holding, pass interference, procedural penalties, all kinds of sorts of penalties. It's your job as a coach to minimize those penalties in practice. And when your team is as highly penalized as Pittsburgh is, as Cleveland is, as Baltimore is, it reflects directly on the head coach, directly on him. A bulk of the purpose of practice during the week, prepping for the game, is to minimize these penalties. That's literally the job of the coach. It's not an opinion of whether or not it's the coach's fault. It is on the coaching. It is on Tomlin. Is the sky blue? Yes, that's not an opinion. Is my lighting beautiful? Yes, it's not an opinion. I'm joking. Is this a Shure microphone? Yes, that's not an opinion. Is penalties on coaching? Yes, it's not an opinion. It's not a debate to have. The penalties today were not only a bad look, but it was an awful look for Tomlin. It's not an opinion of whether it was a bad look. Tomlin's lack of discipline for these guys How do I word this right? These need to get fixed, right? These need to get fixed. I mean, I see people saying how is it Mike Tomlin's fault that Broderick Jones had a false start, had a holding penalty? It's Mike Tomlin's fault because that's something that's supposed to get fixed in the week so it doesn't happen in a game and cause what it did today. Because these shenanigans are not going to fly against LA, against the Eagles, against the Chiefs, against the Ravens, against the Bengals, against the Browns. It's not going to fly. This needs to get fixed. 13 points ain't going to beat the Chiefs or the Eagles or the Bengals or the Browns or maybe the Ravens, but you know what I mean. The penalties today were an awful look for Tomlin. They need to get fixed, and it is Tomlin's job to get them fixed. And I think it will. History says the Steelers have some of the least penalties per game over the last several years, so I do expect to get this fixed. But yeah, dude, they reflect on Tomlin. It's not a conversation. I try to have an open mind about it, but no. Penalties, your team being penalized means you're not enforcing good form, good technique. Nobody's disciplined. That's on coaching, man. That's literally the job of a coach. I don't want to hear how it's not Tomlin's fault. It needs to get fixed. It absolutely is. Because you're supposed to fix this in practice so it doesn't do what it did today in Denver. Right? Because the reality is, to beat the guys like the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns and Washington at this point, you need to have the kind of first half. You need to have what the first half should have looked like today. You need to have the box score that the first half should have looked like today. You need to score 25-something points to beat the Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns, Washington. 13 points ain't going to cut it. And penalties is exactly how you get 13 points on the board. All right, okay. Anyways, back to praising Tomlin. After halftime, the defense was still lights out. But Justin Fields is the one that came back down to earth. Right. He looked just like how he looked in the Falcons game. He was fine. Didn't cost you the game. He was fine. Nothing more. He did leave a lot of plays on the table. He was inconsistent in the pocket. He was inconsistent handling blitzes. He thinks he can outrun defenses in the backfield, and it gets him in trouble regularly. He had a first down to Georgia that should have been a routine pass that was simply just thrown too low. I mean, it killed the drive. There was also an ugly interception into triple coverage that was dropped. It was intended for CA3. Why you're throwing to 5'9" Calvin Austin III into triple coverage, I don't know. Now, it's not all bad. There was a play where Justin was blitzed and threw the ball to Calvin Austin on the in-breaking route. As soon as he saw the blitz coming, it was the right move to make, but it was called back for another penalty, Tomlin. Anyways, let's take a step back. Justin Fields should have had a 3, maybe 4 touchdown game and over 300 total yards when you look at passing and rushing. But penalties made his stat sheet look depressing, Tomlin. That being said, Justin established today he's the best quarterback we've had since Big Ben. He's a big step up from KP8. He can do things KP8 can't do. And I believe at this point Justin Fields is the first string quarterback. Justin Fields stole the job from Russell Wilson. You're not giving the job back to Russ after seeing what Justin did. Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but he's doing exactly what you want him to do. Protecting the football, converting third downs. He's scoring, by the way. And he looks good. He looks real good. I want to see how he builds on this next week. There's no way you give this job back to Russ after seeing what Justin has done. I'm proud of Justin. And so far, I told y'all so. I said the Steelers should start Justin Fields week 1. They did it. Not because they wanted it to. They wanted to start Russ, but they couldn't. Russ wasn't healthy. Then they realized, oh, shoot, Justin's kind of good. We should start him. And he's going to continue to start, I feel like. Could be wrong. I doubt it. I do think he stole this QB1 job from Russell Wilson. Other than that, dude, I'm proud of Najee. He's playing a lot better than I expected. Contract year, he's going to get paid somewhere. Whether or not that's here in Pittsburgh, I really don't want to have that conversation right now. I mean, hey, George made me really proud today. Y'all know how critical I am of George. He had a clean game, balled out. He should have had a touchdown, should have had over 100 yards receiving today. Didn't happen because of penalties, Tomlin. I'd like to see him build on today. I was proud. For the first time in a long time, I'm proud of what I saw from George Pickens. Love what I saw. Overall, man, this team is 2-0. It's an ugly 2-0, but I'm excited to see how Justin builds on it versus the Chargers at the home opener next week. The way they played today, let's be clear, let's say the way they played today is not going to fly around Justin Herbert. Okay? That's not going to work against the Chargers. The Chargers playing really good defense right now. Justin Herbert's playing pretty good. The penalties must get cleaned up. Because if we can have a first half that we should have had this week against the Chargers next week, we might have a shot. It's going to be the Chargers game is going to be a litmus test for what the back half of the season is going to look like. We're talking about a real quarterback, a real defense, a real good team, well-coached team. Okay? We're going to learn what this Steelers team is all about versus LA. How good is the defense? Is it good enough to shut down Patrick Mahomes? We're going to get some kind of litmus test for that next week versus Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers. But other than that, man, happy Victory Monday. Enjoy the win. I'm Devin Engel. Go Steelers.